Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband I was going to divorce him for going to his sister's wedding? Original post. So this is happening in real time, and I don't know if my emotions are super high right now or I'm completely in the right. My sister-in-law is getting married and I've been helping her plan her wedding, from the DJ to the makeup artist to hair, etc. She asked me to be in the wedding party. I agreed to that. My husband agreed to have me read a prayer at the church even though I'm not very religious, and to sponsor the wedding, which I was never asked for. Comes to today on our first dress fitting. I'm there with my mother-in-law, my sisters-in-law, and her future in-laws. Everyone was looking at bridesmaid dresses, and so was I. I was then in that moment told I was not in the wedding party. I was not allowed to be in the wedding photos, and would have to drive myself to the wedding due to my husband being in the groom's party. I was told I was basically the wedding planner and would need to leave after the ceremony while the wedding party took photos to make sure the reception was being set up correctly. I walked away and texted my husband. I was upset, but didn't want to ruin his sister's big moment. She picked her dress and they continued to look at bridesmaid dresses. I told my sister-in-law I was leaving and congratulated her on the dress. I made it outside and began to cry, called my husband, and explained the situation to him. This isn't the first time his family has done this to me in the 9 years we've been together. They disrespected me and my marriage so many times. I explained I no longer wanted to attend the wedding, and he said, okay, but I still am. I told him if he wanted to, that was fine, but it would be the last time he allows his family to make me feel this way. He just said I'm being ridiculous, and my family agrees with him. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Nope, and follow through with it if he can't stick up for you. If you're petty, cancel everything you had a part in planning. Any money you spent, return any and everything. I said I was going to cancel the hair and makeup, but my husband told me that his sister is already in contact on her own. Kind of feels they used me for my resources. The fact that he knew that detail means he also knew what his sister was doing, and they'd planned for it. OB should pay a process server to serve her husband with divorce papers at the wedding. Forget waiting for the reception. I love this recommendation, especially since it will take the attention away from the bride and put it on the husband. He gets partial blame, and she doesn't have to be there to take the heat. She just needs to make sure to turn her phone off, but don't block anyone. You may need evidence to hand to the lawyer during the divorce proceedings to get a better deal. It depends on your petty level. 1. You agreed to be the planner, and what do wedding planners need? Payment. You are not investing time, money, and effort without any of the benefits that a hired wedding planner would. But your family. How could you do this? Well, I'm not family enough to be in any of the family pictures or to avoid being unceremoniously dumped out of the wedding party. So, 2. You don't attend and stick to your word. 3. You do number 1. Then use any payment received to pay for your divorce lawyer. It's not just disrespect from his family or yours. It's the disrespect from your husband. He thinks it's fine for his sister to have you run ragged for her wedding, but it's okay, because he will see you at the reception when you've finished being her lackey, while all the other invited guests are enjoying themselves? Nope. I'd use the wedding day to move out, after talking to a lawyer of course, because that can lead to the house becoming his or something. I definitely get anything of value, papers, etc. out. Now for the update. I looked it up to give you the correct answer. Sponsors are the only people you legally need at your wedding. They act as witnesses to your marriage, and they're the ones who will sign your marriage certificate. Of course, aside from the legal aspect, they also act as godparents to you and your partner. Also, today was the wedding party pre-dinner to get to know one another. I was invited over a month ago with my husband, but I couldn't go today due to it being my mother's birthday. So my husband and I told his sister I could do the dress fitting, but not the dinner. So I'm confused as to why I needed to be at the dress fitting with all the bridesmaids and a wedding party dinner. She called all week to make sure I still be at the dress fitting. She was upset. But my mom has lung cancer and she's not doing well, so I wouldn't miss her birthday. My husband texted his sister and told her we weren't going to come. I'm not sure what she said back, but he was upset the whole dinner for my mom's birthday. The DJ is my brother's best friend, and the makeup artist is my stepsister. So I know I could tell them what's going on, and they cancel. Backstory. On Thanksgiving, my sister-in-law asked me and her 3 sisters to help her plan her wedding, so I wasn't the only person asked to help. I agreed then because I know the stress of planning a wedding alone. I picked out centerpieces and helped with things she didn't know about, something new, old, etc. Ever since, I've been helping her with vendors and even picking out her wedding song. I think deep down, I'm not upset about not being the wedding. I just wish I didn't look stupid going to the dress fitting and looking at dresses. Like, I wish she would have just called me on the phone and been like, "Hey, there is a change of plans and you're no longer in a wedding party." Nope, it was done in front of my mother-in-law, her future mother-in-law, and the fiancé's sisters. I think everyone saw I took it by surprise when I was told. The bride used her little sister to be the one that told me because I know she didn't want to look like the bad guy. Despite me and my mother-in-law not having the best relationship, she doesn't allow her daughters to walk all over me, but she doesn't speak English, and I didn't know what was being said to me. After speaking with my husband when I got home from my mom's birthday, he said his sister asked him 2 weeks ago to walk her down the aisle due to their father passing and him being her only brother, and that if he doesn't attend the wedding, I will be opening the worst can of worms ever. I explained to him that he was supposed to walk with me, and that when I was removed from the wedding party, they changed what he was doing. He said he would walk her down the aisle but not go with them in the limo and not be in any photos. I know he's a huge mama's boy, so I will likely not be married in the upcoming weeks. The petty revenge? I thought about just attending the wedding, and when asked to give my prayer, just mentioning in front of the families how the bride and groom are huge cokeheads. The groom's family is extremely religious, and it would just ruin the wedding, but my husband knows how petty I can be and thought I have a master plan. Cancel what you can. Get rid of your current husband. Find a real husband. In that order. None of this is okay, and it shouldn't matter if your husband is a mama's boy. I married an only child mama's boy who lived with his mom for years as an adult after his parents separated. He still finds ways to value me and his mother at the same time. I really hope you don't go and pull back on everything that you had a part of. They can figure it out on their own. That one. Love is not a zero-sum game. More for a wife doesn't mean less for mom. The love expands and expresses itself differently. Yeah, I never understood people who acted like there's only so much love, and if you hand out so much, there'll be none left to give. As my mother always said, there's always love left in your heart to give, no matter how much you give out. Wow, I think I would start canceling everything I had arranged. Time to not be a doormat. I'm so sorry. I would absolutely cancel things I had arranged, and I wouldn't tell them either. I might mention it in the card I gave them. Oh, by the way, as you booted me out of the wedding, I figured you didn't need my help, so I canceled everything that I'd booked. I'm sure you'll be fine with this. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my dad's wife to the wedding? I, 24 female, got engaged last May to my fiancé, 24 male. I'm very excited about it, but when it came down to planning, I knew that my parents would be a tough situation. My parents separated when I was 16 and didn't get officially divorced until 2020. My dad remarried in 2021, and I will refer to his wife as Sharon. During the initial separation, my sisters and I stayed with our mom. She was going through such a hard time. My dad in the beginning attempted to make an effort with my sisters and me, but it was very obvious that he was eager to start his new family. He eventually became a distant father, only really talking to us around holidays, taking Sharon and her kids on trips, and bonding with them. I missed my dad, but he seemed to have already moved on from us, and he was never a good person to communicate with. I still attempted to have some sort of relationship, even if it was at arm's length. I invited him to my high school and college graduation, which he attended both without Sharon. When Sharon and my dad got engaged, none of us were happy about it, but it was what he wanted. We went to the wedding. All three of us were very emotional about it, which family on my dad's side could tell, and tried to comfort us. I have never been mean to Sharon. I have always just sort of tolerated her. We never formed any kind of bond, and I only ever saw her if I was visiting my dad, which already was once in a while. The same applies for my sisters. So now being engaged, I've taken everything in. I decided I wanted my dad at my wedding, but just as my dad. He wouldn't get a +1 or anything of the sort. And to make things fair, I set the same rules for my mom. This past weekend I went to talk to him and Sharon. My fiancé was with me when I told him. I said that I meant no disrespect, but I had to also think of my mom, and that this would be easier. I also made it a point to tell him that my mom isn't allowed to bring anyone either. That if Sharon wanted to celebrate our wedding, we could always also do dinner another time. I thought letting them know in advance, since the wedding isn't until fall 2024, that he would, hopefully take it well, and still want to show up. I was emotional, and afterward he did hug me and told me that he would let me know their decision. I left feeling better, but things changed. On our way home, he called me. He asked if this was my decision, which I said yes to. Then he told me that we could do dinner another time, and that essentially his answer was no. I was upset, so I just said our goodbyes and that was that. Edit. Some ask why I don't want Sharon there, and I commented my explanation. Another suggested I add it here. She was part of the reason my father left. In no way do I consider my mother the better parent in everything. But she wanted to work and try. Sharon was my father's coworker. When he left, he immediately moved in with her. And if I'm honest, my sisters and I have never seen her as a stepmother, but more as our dad's girlfriend/wife. There's just no relationship there. I will admit, I never fully tried, but I was young when I was navigating everything, and I had no idea how to handle it. There was also no effort on her end. That has led to where I am today in my relationship with her and my father. Now for the comments. No a-holes here. You set boundaries, you respected them, but ultimately decided to not attend. You have every right to allow/disallow anyone you want to your wedding, but he has the right to decline your invite. It sounds like you both handled it well, and that he respects your decision. I mean, not attending your daughter's wedding after leaving your ex-wife or your now wife, and becoming a distant dad after the divorce, and you don't see him as an a-hole? Making this a boundary thing is wild. We're not here to make a verdict on that. We're adjudicating an OP's conflict. A-holes sometimes don't act like a-holes when given an opportunity. Sounds like the a-hole father did the right thing here. No a-holes. This is a tough one. I think ultimately no a-holes here. In your dad's defense, your mom and him have been separated for 8 years now. Both should be able to be cordial in a public setting. And let's be real, Sharon isn't going anywhere. She'll be around for holidays, birthdays, celebrations for children if that's something you choose. It's not completely realistic to establish a baseline where your dad's partner is not permitted at big family moments. However, it does sound like your relationship with your dad has been strained since the separation, and that you two have never found your way fully back together. Nor does it sound like you and Sharon found some shared ground, so it makes sense why you may not want her there. The fact that they have been separated for 8 years doesn't change the fact that the dad is demanding that she allow the homewrecker that knowingly helped her dad destroy her family and caused real trauma to her mom attending her wedding, which is a complete a-hole move at 8 years, or even 40 years. Last story. Am I the a-hole for canceling everything I paid for Bridezilla? I, 22 female, have been friends with Ray, 21 female. Ray had been engaged since 2019, when she was 17. We were shocked when she told us, because she was so young back then, and settling down that young is not really common where I live. She just got married last April. As her friends, we were excited about the wedding. We already paid for dresses, as I am one of the bridesmaids, and held a bridal shower and bachelorette party in February, which I paid for most of it. They also asked me to donate the cake for the wedding, because it was out of their budget, which I complied, and everything is set. Until something unexpected happened. My grandma passed away a few weeks before the wedding. It was a devastating time for me because I'm very close with my grandma. When I called Ray to tell her that my grandma had passed, she just asked, "You're still attending my wedding, right?" Like this is the most important day of my life. I was stunned that that was the first thing Ray said after I told her the news. After that, she never texted or called. Ray called me again to ask if I was going to the wedding. And I said no because her wedding and my grandma's funeral are on the same day. And it will bring bad luck if my family attends the wedding after the funeral. One of the few superstitions that my family strictly follows. But we can be at the reception. A week before, she demanded we switch my grandma's funeral and her wedding as it's at the same church. But I told her that we couldn't do that because the church is the one who schedules the funeral. She just yelled at me, "But it's my wedding. How can you miss my wedding?" I looked at her confused, then slowly said, "It's my grandma's funeral." She stomped away like the child she is, and looked for her fiancé. Later that night, she tagged me in her post/rant about how I ruined her wedding, that I'm not her real friend because I won't attend, that she wasted her effort on me, and that I'm not welcome to her wedding anymore, and that she shouldn't have paid for me. Pay for what? Mind you, I paid for almost half of it. I catered to the requests she made because she's my friend. I screenshotted her post before she could delete it, and I showed it to my parents and told them about what happened. They were livid because Ray didn't even show an ounce of sympathy and pressured me to choose. So, my parents told me to refund a deposit for the dresses, makeup, and gifts, and cancel the cake, which I did. She called me furious. "You witch! What have you done? You ruined my wedding. How could you cancel everything?" I told her that since it was her wedding, she should pay for it. My parents, some of my friends and relatives agreed to what I did, but Ray on her side, especially those who didn't pay for anything, keeps calling me an a-hole for doing what I did. After thinking about it, I kind of feel that I am the a-hole. But am I really? Not the a-hole. She was asking for it, and she got it. You need to find a better friend anyway. She's just not worth your time. This former friend is acting like an entitled child. It's not OP's responsibility to pay for this girl's wedding. Her family can foot the bill for their child's wedding. Not the a-hole. You should not be paying for all that in the first place. If she can't afford a wedding, then she shouldn't have one. This girl is clearly not your friend and is so selfish. The only reason she is probably mad that you can't attend is because you are paying for so much. She doesn't even care about your feelings. So sorry for your loss, and hope you can find some better friends who care for your well-being. And it didn't sound like she's even the maid of honor, just one of the bridesmaids. How did that make sense that she pays for so many things? So disproportionate. It's so easy at a young age to confuse friends with vampires. Friendship goes both ways, not just me, and you.